know me, I'm Hannah McKee, our Business Development Manager for the Thrive branch, who are bringing this class to you tonight. We've been putting our brains together and thinking about different things to inspire our owners and our non-owners to learn about the Thermomix, find out more about their Thermomix, and just be inspired to try something different perhaps. In fact, 2 out of the 3 dishes being cooked tonight, I haven't even tried, so I'm looking forward to seeing those.
Me too.
Yeah, fantastic. And what else? Obviously, you've been invited here by our consultant. So if you have something you would love to learn about your Thermomix, please do let them know, and they can let us know, and we can talk about different ways of bringing that information to you as well, whether it be a different type of class. We could do cook-alongs. We haven't done one of those in a while. We've got some other things already booked in, so we'll talk about those a little bit later. But yeah, anything you want to learn, please make sure that you're talking to your consultant, because they are best placed to support you going forward. They can do one-on-ones, little cooking experiences where a couple of friends come along. They can be done online or in person, all the different variety. We've got so much flexibility in our business these days that there is no excuse for you not to be getting the most out of your Thermomix. So, how are we going there, Em? Nearly ready? You ready? Good. So I'm going to
grab a spatula.
Okay, fantastic. I'm just going to see how many people I can slide at once. Give me 1 second. I'll introduce our 2. Just need to find Joe. Oh, look at that. And I'm going to add you in, Heather, just for a second, just so I can introduce you. Okay, so these 4 leaders, we're just missing Joe from the screen, but she'll be back in a moment. There she is. Bringing this to you tonight. So again, they look after the consultants that have invited you along, or they might actually be your consultant as well. And between them all, I'm going to say there's probably more than 20 years of experience with a Thermomix, but that's a bit alarming. So if you've got any questions tonight, please make sure you're asking them. You can either come off mute or put it in the chat, and we'll endeavour to answer them. Heather's going to be mainly focusing on supporting the chat and sharing the links to the recipes and things tonight. I'm going to be the background spotlighter extraordinaire, trying to keep up with everybody. And obviously the other 3 ladies are here just to help, to present the dishes tonight. So let's remove some of those spotlights and just go to fantastic. Sorry, I think I just clicked to unmute. I didn't mean that. There we go. And I need to find your other screen, Em. Give me 1 sec. There it is. Ooh, that looks yummy.
Well, while you're finding that, can you all hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Oh, good. Well, hi, everyone. Because I'm on Spotlight, I can't see you, but I'll check you all out later. If you have got thumbnails and you want to look, I have another camera above my Thermomix, so as I'm putting things in, you might want to have a little sticky beak at the other screen if you like. So I'm Emily Crisp. I've been a team leader for 8 years. And I'm bringing you one of my favourite one-pot wonders. In fact, I cooked one of them for dinner tonight. It's called the Aussie chow mein, or the curried beef noodles, because it has 8 veggies in it. This one's vegetable biryani, and it was introduced to me by one of our consultants, Kirsten. And it is stunning. So it's a vegetarian dish. It's dairy-free. However, I'm going to add some chicken into it just because I know that not all households are vegetarian. So I've got my beautiful TM6, and I think you can see over here is the whole package. So this is the complete all-inclusive package. You get the Thermomix, the aroma, the rice basket to cook the rice. And at the moment, our beautiful gift is this incredible cookbook called Thermomix Creating Something Incredible. It's actually the #1 cookbook at the moment. It's just taken everything by storm. It's beautiful. And a thermo server, which is a highly sought after item that you can't buy on the next shop. So these are your gifts we've purchased this month. I'll get straight into the cooking, and I can talk about the dish while I'm cooking it. If you have pen and paper, it is really great to take notes, because sometimes when we're varying dishes or we have some tips, you'll be taking in lots of information, and it's great to take it home and remember all of those tips for home. So I have it saved in My Week, which is really convenient. It's great to use your phone and just save it into My Week. So then with one tap, anyone in your family can just start cooking the dish that you have prepared. So I'll start cooking it. The reason I chose this dish, I have cooked it so many times, it's beautiful as an entire meal. or as a side dish, but it is huge. You'll see the quantity that it makes soon. So I just start, I love what a lot of these beautiful flavoured recipes start with these ingredients. So garlic, ginger, and this is fresh turmeric. And you know, when something starts with all of that, it's not just about the flavour, it's about the health benefit as well. So in goes the garlic. Now with your ginger, 10 grams of root ginger, the scales are set. I don't need to peel the ginger. You can just pretty much snap one of the bits off and drop it in. That one's 30 grams. It might be a little too gingery for the household. And I do happen to know in this recipe later it asks for turmeric powder, but because I was able to access turmeric root, I'm putting that in the chopping stage. So sometimes it is good to look ahead at a recipe and just to see what you might be able to do that's different. So I'll just chop that up. And if you want to see the other screen, is that difficult, Hannah, or do you want me to bring it to?
They should both be on. I've got both of them spot lit, so they should both be on.
I can only see one. Okay, so in here you can see that beautiful chop of fresh turmeric, and goodness knows, I know we all want to be getting our immune systems better at the moment. Now we're going to cook down these beautiful fresh herbs with 50 grams of ghee. Ghee is something that is, well, it's not quite dairy-free, but it almost is. It's clarified butter, and it's often used in Indian flavoured recipes. Because of the high heat kind of toasting of spices, it doesn't burn. If you don't have ghee, just use olive oil or butter. But, however, if you want to write a list of all the pantry staple items that we talk about through our cooking tonight, ghee is one of those things you can also make in a Thermomix. It's just by cooking the butter until it's clarified and releases all of the milk product out of it. So that's it. The first part for 2 minutes is just going to be sauteing those things into the ghee. So write ghee down as a pantry staple because I'm going to refer to many other pantry staples that go into this recipe that are just so good for creating flavour if you've got them at home. All right. Thanks, everybody, and you'll come back soon and see what else happens in this recipe. Who's up next?
All right, so I might switch over to Jo then to get started. So pop her there. There we go. Go, Jo.
Hi, everybody. I am Jo, as Hannah has just introduced. I live a little bit north of the other leaders, so I'm not in lockdown yet. Very luckily, we're actually out on a farm. So there might be a few of you. Let us know in the chat box if you are in lockdown or if you are still out free to roam the streets. I'd love to know from you guys where you are at for your area. All right, so tonight I'm going to make a one-pot moussaka. So I absolutely love moussaka, and the reason I picked this is this was a dish that my mum used to make when I was a kid. And when I moved out of home and I started cooking for myself, I went, I don't know how to cook this. And I tried to make it in like a conventional way, and I'm not very good at cooking at all prior to having a Thermomix, and it was a complete disaster. So this was something that once I got a Thermomix, I could make, along with, you know, lasagna and all of those wonderful things that are now made so easy. So I thought, why don't I show you guys this dish? It's a little bit different. It's not sort of an Aussie staple, but I think most of you guys have probably heard of it and know what it is anyway. So moussaka is sort of like a lasagna made with eggplant instead of pasta, and a lamb meat instead of a beef. That's the sort of basics difference of it. And then there's lots of variations of things that you can do. But this one is pretty cool because it's all done in one bowl. So it's a one-pot moussaka, which is pretty awesome. If you have made this before, pop that into the chat as well, so we have a bit of an idea of where you're at. Now, very first step of this one is just to pop in some onions and garlic. So 120 grams or so of onion quartered. Now, I never ever stick to that exact gram. I just throw in an onion. If you have a really, really big onion, it might be closer to 200. So depending on how oniony you like it. But a normal sort of medium-sized onion is always about that 120 grams. And then 2 cloves of garlic. is our next step. And 10 grams of olive oil. The same thing with your olive oil. Depends on how oily you like your things. All right, and then we're going to pop on our lid and let the Thermomix do all the heavy lifting and chop that up. All righty. So now I'm going to give this a quick scrape down, and we're going to cook off that onion and garlic. So you can all see what that looks there. Beautifully chopped up. Scrape that down. Put my lid back on. I'll find my measuring cup. And that's going to saute there for 3 minutes, 100 degrees on just a slow stirring speed. So just like you'd be doing on a fry pan, just sauteing off those onion and garlic to get that flavour ready for your dish. So while this goes, I think we're going to jump over to Nat, perhaps, or back to Emily.
Hi. All right, just jump over to me. So what I'm making, remember, vegetable biryani, 300 grams of basmati rice rinsed. It is really important that you rinse your basmati rice because otherwise it might not cook evenly. You want to remove the starches. Now, this is interesting. You actually drop the rice into the mixing bowl. So in it goes, and it's beautiful because this recipe is going to coat the rice with all of the flavour. Teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of black mustard seeds, and 2 teaspoons of turmeric. But remember, I use the fresh turmeric. So I've got the cumin in here and the black mustard seeds. These are all ingredients that we have. Like, how many of you have increased your pantry items with fresh herbs and spices? And this is a chance to use just a couple of them. And a tablespoon of curry powder. Of course, this curry powder is also homemade. It's another thing to put on your list of pantry staples to make. I highly recommend it. It features in a lot of other recipes. And it's just Google curry powder. It tastes just like Teens curry powder, and it's beautiful. It's in the Aussie chow mein that I mentioned earlier too. Just back to the mustard seeds. If you don't have black, just use yellow mustard seeds or mustard powder, as long as you've just got that little bit of a mustard flavour. Okay, so that's just going to saute with the rice, the spices, and all of those fresh things for 3 minutes. And so we can get started on the next recipe while that happens. Thanks, Hannah.
Excellent. Over to Nat now.
All right. Hi, everybody. So I'm Nat, and I'm in Lake Macquarie, the Newcastle area, and I know there's a few of you on there from here. So because obviously we are in lockdown, I am actually going to just do with what I have. So I couldn't get to the shop. So for example, in this recipe, it has fresh tomatoes, but I'm just using tin. I didn't have a zucchini, but I've got pumpkin, so I'm stopping with that. Didn't have salami, but I had some chorizo in the freezer. So, and I also don't have fettuccine, so I'm using penne. So you can see that guided cooking is still a guide. Like, you can still edit it, tweak it to suit what you want. Also, I'm all about no waste, using what you have before you go shopping. Again, I only had half the parmesan left, so I've topped it up with tasty. So don't be scared just to substitute where you can. It saves a lot of money, and I didn't have to do a trip to the shop. So let's get started. So our first thing is we're just going to chop up, grate the cheese. And that's just going to pop that in. This is parmesan. As I said, if you don't have parmesan, just use tasty or vintage or whatever you have. Okay, it's 10 seconds just on speed 9. So that's already done, super fast. I'll show you what it looks like. That's my mixing pressure cup. There you go. Cheese is already done. So I'm just gonna pop that back into the same bowl that I had the pieces in, so I'm not dirtying any more dishes. Now it wants us to clean and dry mixing bowl, but I'm not going to bother. Just going to get my measuring cup that's just fallen. So let's go next. So we're going to pop an onion in. So as I said, I've got half an onion in there, some garlic cloves, and I'm actually going to pop in a couple of slices of bacon with it so that it can saute with the onion, just for extra flavour. I don't have any parsley, so let me just going to pop the lid on and chop this up. 3 seconds, speed 7. That's it. It's one of my favourite. Never gets old, does it? Chopping an onion in 3 seconds. I've got the bacon, everything's all chopped and ready to go. So just going to scrape down the side. As I said, I had like a quarter of a red capsicum, so I'm just going to pop in what I have. You can use whatever veggies you like. And then instead of zucchini, I've just got some pumpkin. Okay, we're just going to chop this up. It's all in one bowl. 3 seconds again. Show you what that looks like, and then we're going to pop it on. It's going to pop some oil in there, and it's going to saute. So there you go, chopped up. So this is going to go towards making that really delicious sauce, with heaps of flavour, having these veggies and the bacon and the garlic in there like that. Now it says 30 to 50. I'm just going to do the 30 grams of olive oil. And it's going to go for 3 minutes on 120 in speed 1. So that'll saute while we go across to the next person. I'll be back.
So
You're
I'd
on
love,
mute. Yeah,
I'd love
you're on
to
mute, Hannah.
I just want to show you. Remember, I had the rice that's sauteed, and you actually put it back into the simmering basket. So see, it's now a lovely flavoured rice.
Hang on, Em. Hannah's just got a spotlight. You hang on a sec.
Oh, okay. You can hear me anyway. So the rice.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. So there it all is. Like, it already looks like a meal. It's just that the rice isn't cooked yet. So without rinsing out the bowl, of course, just add in your litre of water. Put that beautiful flavoured rice back in, and then this is it. This is the meal almost done. All we have to do now is just get everything ready. So this one pot wonder actually uses the entire thermomix. So it's going to use our varoma. So we get to put the varoma dish into position, and into that we're adding some potatoes and carrots, just chopped up like it says in the recipe, in about a 2 centimetre dice. It helps put the lid on, doesn't it? So I pop those in. Now, because I'm adding chicken into this recipe, I'm going to add the chicken into the bottom layer of the varoma. So when you're steaming with all of these layers, most of the heat will go to the rice. The second amount of heat will go into here. So that's where you put your root vegetables and the things you want cooked the most. And then on top, you put the gentler things like your green veggies and stuff. So, sorry, I should have got the chicken out earlier. One moment. See? So I've diced about 4 chicken thighs into about the same sized dice as the potatoes, and I'm just mixing it through. If you can see on the other camera, you'll probably be able to see. If not, I'll bring it over to you to show you. So when you're using your varoma, you do need to create a little bit of a hole to allow all of that steam to circulate. So I just put a hole in there. Another trick is to actually put your butterfly whisk underneath all of the chunks, and it raises them up to allow the steam to get in and circulate through everything. So let's try that one this time. We put the carrots in, then we insert the varoma tray, and it actually has cashews and sultanas. So this is going to be like that yummy Indian flavour. And frozen peas, which I will do in a moment. I actually like my peas green, so I'm not going to cook them for the entire time. Put the lid on and off you go. So that's it. It's 3 steps: chopping, sauteing, and then off you go. So that's 25 minutes, just a half an hour dinner for your family using the entire Thermomix, and then we just pop it into a bowl at the end. So that's me done for now, and let's see what all the other girls have got for you.
Alrighty, so my onion and garlic is all nice and sauteed off. So next step is to add in our mince. Now the recipe calls for 500 grams of lamb mince, but like everyone else, even though I'm not in lockdown, I don't want to duck off to the shops to get something that I already have in the freezer. So I'm going to use beef mince. It'll obviously have a slightly different flavour, but it will still be a really, really good dish. All right, so mince in. Now I'm just going to spread mine out a little bit. Whenever you're putting mince in, just make sure that there isn't huge, big chunks. Otherwise, the blade will just struggle to stir all around properly, and you don't want to have any raw chunks of mince in there at all. All right, and then that just cooks off for another 3 minutes at 100 degrees on that reverse stirring speed. So it's not going to puree that mince as though it would if the blade was on the sharp side. But on that blunt side, it's just going to stir that mince around and mimic what you'd be doing on a fry pan as you cooked off your mince. All right, over to the next person.
Okay, so back to me. So we've just sauteed. It smells so good. Check that out. You can see there. It's nicely sauteed, that pumpkin and capsicum. It smells delicious. I'm just going to scrape the sides down. Now, as I said, this recipe has tomatoes, but we have an abundance of tin tomatoes. So that's what I'm using, just some crushed tomatoes. So we're just going to pop a tin of those in. Some water. And what I like to do is, I have my water is just pop some in the tin so I can get all that bits of tomato before I pour from the tin. It's a little tip. A little bit more. You can always just go to the tap if you don't want it dirty. I'm just doing this so that we're a bit more organised at the time. Okay, some cream. I'm just going to grab it from the fridge. I'm just using the pure cream. I use this one in my cooking. It doesn't have any thickeners or anything, any gums added. It's just cream, plain. So we'll see what we got left in there. There we go, a little bit over, but that's all right. I'm not going to waste the rest. Stock paste. Now, anyone on here that does watch me cook or sees my posts, I'm always doubling my stock paste because I just love that punch of flavour. So I'll do the same here. So what I do is I just jump into, I hit the 3 dots and I jump into scales just so I don't go too crazy. So 1 tablespoon's 20 grams. So I just pop in 40 for me. Look at that, nearly there, done. When you're doing a recipe, I recommend you just make it how it is the first time and taste it. And then you can always tweak it to suit. And because I do extra stock, if there is a salt component in a recipe, I just skip the salt part. All right, so we're just going to pop our lid on. So this is, without me spilling it, this is the sauce that it's going to cook before we add the chorizo in a bit later. Turn it on. So it's going to go for 10 minutes on 100 degrees on speed 1. There you go.
All right, so I think we might have a bit of a moment between things at the moment. So
I've only got 8 seconds left, so not too much of a moment.
fantastic. Look at that. Well-oiled machine. I'm going to go straight over to you then, Joe. Play spotlight.
Beautiful. All right, so I have my brown mince. It's still nice and chunky. It's just cooked off enough. And now we're going to add in a tin of tomatoes. Now, alternatively, and that's just use tin tomatoes in a place of fresh tomatoes. If, and it won't happen so much in winter, but say in summer you have an abundance of tomatoes growing in your garden, do the same thing and use fresh tomatoes instead of canned. It's a great way to use up what you have. 2 tablespoons of tomato puree. This is just your tomato paste. Because this isn't an Aussie recipe, some of the ingredients sound a little bit funny, but just tomato paste and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. I'll put that in. Now, I pre-measured those out, but I wanted to just show you, I have recently bought the rose gold set of measuring spoons, and I absolutely love them. They all stay together, so I'm not forever looking for a teaspoon or a tablespoon. Do any of you have that problem? I buy a tablespoon or a teaspoon and then I seem to just lose one all the time and I'm forever buying a new set. And now I have like 4 half teaspoons in my drawer that I don't use. So these are fantastic. They're all held together. They're beautiful rose gold and they're all in our Aussie measurements. So they're absolutely perfect. If you're looking
They're
for
so pretty, Joe, aren't they? They're so pretty. I've got mine in my box. I'm going to open mine up.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Mm.
I did get the measuring cups as well because I went out.
Same. Same. We've got to go both. Rose got. I had a deal. I think if you bought both, you get it cheaper to buy both.
Yeah.
So there's a little tip for anyone that wants them.
And now it calls for a teaspoon of fine sea salt. So just like Nat, I love my veggie stock. I always add in veggie stock instead of salt. I don't measure it. I just stick in about a teaspoon or so. A quarter of a teaspoon of pepper. Again, I'm not much of a measurer when I cook, so I put in how much pepper I feel like it'd be good. And then our lid goes back on. This time, no measuring cup. If any of you have a TM5 or a TM31 and you're sick of your clear measuring cup falling out, get yourself one of these. You've probably all seen these already, but if you haven't, they are absolutely life-saving. Not having to chase your measuring cup across the kitchen is absolutely incredible, and they fit all your models. So you can just buy that measuring cup and have that beauty of a measuring cup that doesn't fall out. I can see Heather has just popped a link for it in the mix shop as well if you're wanting to go shopping. All right, so this is on top just to stop any splatter. So as this cooks down, because it is tomatoey and saucy, it'll splatter a little bit. Now we don't want the measuring cup in because we want it to still reduce off as it would on the stove, but we don't want that obvious splatter that you get when you're cooking on the stove. So to keep it nice and safe, we're going to put this on instead, and that's going to let just the right amount of steam out for it to reduce down, but to keep it safe and avoid any splatter. So this one cooks for 8 minutes. Again, it's on that reverse speed, so it isn't shredding everything up to mush. While this is going, the recipe calls for you to drain some grilled, it calls it aubergine, but eggplant is what we call it here. So this recipe calls for some grilled aubergine cooked in oil or a jar of it. Now, I'm not one for going to buy things preserved in jar if I can't. So it's also eggplant season, which is partly why I picked this recipe. So I have just thrown these in the oven. Now, I could have grilled them. I'm not, again, a big fan of cooking in oil, so I just prefer them to be roasted. I also had the oven on to cook some meat for tea, so just easy to throw them in. And I've just cooked it on a really old daggy baking tray, but with my oven mat. So I use this on all of my baking trays, and it just makes it so easy. This tray won't get the tiniest bit dirty. It can just go straight back in the cupboard. And then all I do is just stick this in the dishwasher or just give it a little wipe off and wash up with the rest of my stuff tonight. Absolute lifesaver. And it means that I don't need any oil much because it doesn't stick. I gave this a little drizzle and a sprinkle of salt, but that's all I need. So that's my eggplant. I haven't weighed it out, so I'll just go off how much I have here. I can always save some over. I'm sure I'll use it somewhere else. But I wanted to show one other thing. Now, I realized too late tonight to cook it, to use it. I already had chicken on it. I did some chicken wings for tea. But this is a silicone oven tray, but it has a steel frame. So I don't know if I love cooking with silicone because nothing sticks, so it's really easy to clean. But any like silicone muffin trays and things like that, they're all bendy and floppy and they're really awkward to do anything with. You have to then put a baking tray underneath them or something, and they're really hard to use. So the mix shop brought in these steel framed ones, and they are absolutely incredible. So just use it as a baking tray completely, but it honestly needs no greasing whatsoever, and it is so easy to clean at the end. You can get these in muffin trays, loaf tins, all sorts of things, but they all have this steel frame. Honestly, they are an absolute lifesaver. If you're a messy cook or you're running low on time, or if your bakery is just getting a bit old, investing in the silicone is a really, really, really good idea. It's super, super easy to use too. So
I agree, Joe. I've got the loaf one here to show as well. That one that you're talking about with this. It's so good because, like you said, it doesn't flimsy anywhere. Like you don't need to put a tray underneath it. I did a zucchini slice in here, and they just pop out. So awesome.
Thanks, ladies. I'm going to hand over to Emily. I think Emily had do you have the thermoserver and the book there, Em, to talk about?
Yes, so the thermo server, and back in the day, this used to be what we would deliver at a first cooking experience to all customers. And it's still the case now. All you have to do is book a cooking experience and get one of these. So what are you using your thermo service for? I mean, some people are telling me they're cooking rice in it, which I think is astonishing. I have done pasta in mine because it's a double-walled stainless steel insulator. If you put boiling water in there and you pop that lid on, it actually keeps the water simmering away. So you can drop your pasta in there and cook it, which means you don't have to be getting out another saucepan or holding up your Thermomix for cooking pasta. So it's a host reward. This is the 2.6 litre, the biggest one we have, and there's also a beautiful oval one. But this is the gift with purchase with a TM6 this month. Also, this cookbook. Now, I'm naughty. I'm a dog-ear girl. I don't know many people that are. But I have gone through this cookbook and dog-eared all of the recipes. So, like I was saying, it's now the #1 selling cookbook at the moment in Australia. And today I actually made from here oxtail stew with this one. Oxtail stew with a butterbean mash. And that, I haven't tasted it yet. It's actually still going. It uses the slow cooker mode of the TM6. But there are so many beautiful recipes in here and great things for the family, like pull-apart pizza suns, is a meatball soup. There is a really yummy peanut butter and caramel custard. And it's just it has stories in the front of it that go right back to all of Grace, who started Thermomix, and all the consultants' beautiful stories behind their recipes. It is a stunning book. Some of the recipes are available on Cookie Do at the moment. I can see someone's had the lamb ragu. Was that good? Yeah. So, yes, it's a stunning collection if you just like to flick through a cookbook. I have to say, I absolutely just love Cookie Do. So I love flicking through that initially for inspiration, and then I just want everything to come onto Cookie Do so I can do guided cooking. I think guided cooking is absolutely incredible for being able to multitask and not have to do too much at once. So yeah, if you know anyone that is, wondering, do I get a Thermomix now? We consultants believe this is a really great package deal, particularly with a book and a thermo server. It's great. So yeah.
Thanks, Em. I do love the book myself.
I was just going to say, Hannah, I could see your tabs in there.
So these are my tabs of things to cook. I actually hadn't taken the time to sit down and read it. And one of our consultants, Kate Sharp, shared the other day that she just loved all the stories. So I sat down last night and actually read the book. It was kind of like reading someone's autobiography, because it tells you all about where Thermomixes come from in Australia, where it's going. And, I knew most of the story, but there's still some beautiful parts of that story in there that I hadn't yet known. And each recipe has been designed, developed by different people who've been part of the journey along the last 20 years. And even the little snippets of the story at the top of every recipe, it tells you who's contributed the, excuse me, I picked one that doesn't have a person, who's contributed the recipe. And, oh gosh, let me find one. So this one here is the shredded chicken noodle salad by Wendy Crombie. Wendy Crombie has been with Thermomix for over 10 years. I think she has over 1,000 customers and is just incredibly passionate about the Thermomix. And so she provided this recipe, which was then obviously developed a bit further with the recipe development team to get into this book. And, just hearing a little bit about all of their different stories along the way and things like that, it was just incredible. And yes, I have tagged a few things. You'll be very surprised to know that most of the things are actually dinners, because I am renowned for picking all the sweet stuff. But funnily enough, I did just flick to this page which caught my eye, which is the watermelon and orange margarita. So I am going to use one of my essential trips to the shops to get some alcohol at some point to make those margaritas while I'm in lockdown, because they look delicious. Obviously, I'll also need watermelon and orange, but I feel like they're much easier as an essential item than tequila might be. There's some incredibly, what's the word? I guess foodie type dishes in there. There's a choux pastry and macarons or macaroons, however you say that word. Lots of very delicate and intricate items in there if you choose to. And again, with the guided cooking, you can achieve anything. So it does require, following the recipe, having the ingredients. Some of the, I did add something the other day, I think it was the macarons, that needs titanium strength gelatin. So if I can get that in my online shop tonight, I will, and I'll give them a go. But otherwise, they might have to wait till I can go searching for that afterwards. But again, amazing book. Like Emily, I'm very much a cookie dough addict. I don't really love manual cooking because I get so distracted so easily. Everybody's laughing. I saw all the team leaders just laugh at me then. They know. So it was so nice to sit down last night and read through all of that. And I'd already done this recipe selecting earlier than that. But yeah, anyway, that's my little part of the book as well. So obviously you can tell we quite love this book. Is anyone ready to go back to your recipe yet? Right, I'm going to go to Joe, and then I'm going to go.
I am.
Okay,
I'm going to
Joe
put pasta in.
Okay. Who am I going to? I'm going to Joe first.
Yeah.
All right. My mince is cooked off with the tomato and all those flavors in. Now you're going to have to use your imaginations here. So imagine onion, garlic, mince, cinnamon, veggie stock, tomato, all those flavors in all together. It's smelling really, really good. What I love, and this is so simple, but for someone who can't cook very well, for someone who has little kids, or you just isn't very seasoned in the kitchen, something basic like standing on the stove and stirring a pot of mince with tomato and things in it is really hard. I don't know if any of you feel that. If you do, please let me know. Give us a reaction or something in the comments. For some of you, it won't be at all. But if there is anybody out there like me, I would love to know if I'm not the only person. It sounds so basic, but I guarantee that I would get it wrong or I would burn some of it on the bottom. So just that simple function of it being able to cook that off and stir at the same time is just an absolute lifesaver for me. All right, next we're going to put in this prepared aubergine or eggplant. Now, if I click on the 3 dots next to my next button, I apologize you can't see my screen as good as the other girls. I'm just going back into my recipe details. So I'm just having a look at the amounts, and this was 160 to 180 grams of grilled eggplant. So if I go back on those 3 dots and now I click scales, I now get that scale function because it wasn't built into that step of cookie dough. So that's how you quickly get access to that scales function. So I'm just going to pop these straight in the bowl, weighing these in as I go. I'm going to let it get right up there to the 180 or a little bit over. Beautiful, that's nearly 200, so that'll be perfect. And now we're going to do the same trick. So we're going to pop our lid back on again, but this time with a simmering basket. And cook that away again, only on that slow stirring speed and on reverse. The reason for that is that we only want to be just stirring that mince. We don't want it to be getting chopped up. We also want that eggplant to stay relatively to the top because we don't want eggplant puree. We want this to replicate traditional eggplant where it would be layers in the dish. So that's why it goes in towards the end, already pre-cooked, so it's nice and soft. And it's just going to go in there to heat up and finish cooking the rest, and then we're going to finish it off. So that's my next step. I've got another 6.5 minutes, so over to the next person.
Okay, over to me. All right, so we've done the sauce. Oh, it's done most of the cooking, you can see in here, steaming away. It smells delicious. Now, at this stage is where I do taste it to see if I want to add more veggie stock. Or you can use chicken stock, meat stock, whatever you have. So I think it needs a little bit more. So I'm just going to pop it in. As I said, just do it to your taste. And I'm going to put my pasta in. So this recipe is fettuccine. Now, this is my favorite brand of pasta. It just cooks beautifully. It doesn't fall apart. So I'm always using this, but I don't have fettuccine, so I'm doing penne. Now, I know from experience that when I put penne in, I need to increase the cooking time, maybe about 4 minutes. So if you're doing this recipe or another pasta recipe and you finish it and you taste the pasta that it's not cooked, remember, if you're going to pop it into the thermoserver, if it's nearly cooked, like al dente, don't keep cooking because it's going to keep cooking in your thermoserver. But if you can tell that it really needs a little bit more, like I know with this one now, you can go back and just pop a few more minutes on, or just add it on while it's cooking the pasta. But as I said, the first time you make it, just follow the recipe. So let's pop in. So this is what's awesome about this dish, is the pasta will actually cook in the sauce. This is what makes it a one-pot wonder. I'll throw that in a sec. Makes a decent serve. So we'll have this for dinner, and there'll be leftovers for tomorrow as well. I'm just going to mix the pasta in. So you can see the pasta's in there with the sauce, and it wants us to do some salami or chorizo. If you don't eat any of that, as I said, you can do chicken, you can do bacon, ham, or even just vegetarian. If you don't want to put meat in, chuck another type of veggie in if you want. So we're just going to pop all this in. Just going to pull them apart a little bit. I didn't cut them properly. Won't be long till my daughter will be running down every time I do this, and it's night smells of cooking. I didn't even have to tell her dinner's ready anymore. She just like comes down. What's going on? So just pop the chorizo in. This is just actually one chorizo, which is so economical. Just from the deli, it does you 100, just over 100 grams. Don't just ignore that bit because I've got the spatula sitting on there, so that's not right. But I weighed it before. Okay, so let's just mix it well to cover everything. Make sure all the pasta's under the liquid, so the pasta will cook by soaking in that sauce. So normally when you have a stove, you'll have it in water, but it's going to use that sauce. And because it's in there, that this pasta helps thicken it as well. All right, so measuring cup, and it's going to go for 7 minutes. Again, like Joe's was on reverse, so it's not going to chop your pasta up, not going to chop your chorizo up. It's just going to be stirring it around. It's only on spoon speed, so it's just like you with that wooden spoon, just giving a stir. So this is on for 7 minutes.
Over to you, Em. And I will say, when you're putting the fettuccine in, I just break it in half to put it in so that it fits into the bowl. So my tip for fettuccine.
Now, that's a recipe that we do a lot on repeat as well. And if you don't have chorizo, you can just, I don't know if you already said this, you can do salami or ham or bacon or anything, even chicken. It's just swapping it out. So I think you said at the start, swap this for that and swap that for that. So your recipe is like entirely not the recipe at all, which is
I'm
awesome.
always about that. Like I'm always about no waste. Like I'll look in my fridge first every time. What have I got? Because otherwise, you know how easy it is. If you just go, well, I don't have that, I'm going to go to the shop. I'm going to go to the shop, and you're going to spend money, and then you're going to have food go off in the fridge that you don't use. So, yeah.
Encouragement to our customers. Yeah, if you don't have an ingredient, don't worry, just substitute it out. Now, what Joe was sharing earlier about the little options when you're in guided cooking, and I'm going to bring my screen really close. When you're in a guided cooking recipe, 3 dots is the universal computer language for options. So there's the 3 dots there. If I press on that, like Joe did, she selected the scales. You can also see the recipe detail, and you can actually scroll down if you want to know what's going to happen next. So I know I've only got 2 minutes left of this cooking, but there's a sauce to be made. And I can read ahead. It just says to put yogurt, salt, and lemon juice in a bowl. Well, I can be doing that now. So I'll just put you guys back up here on my little stand. So I will do the yogurt, salt, and lemon juice component now. And that way I don't have to do it afterwards. So this is a dressing to go on the vegetable rice biryani. And have you ever tasted, you know how well lemon juice and salt are just this match made in heaven? When you add them into a yogurt with some kind of spice, and this has garam masala, it's just like a lovely spiced yogurt that you might have experienced at a restaurant on a bit of chicken or something. It's beautiful. So another thing to add to your list that you're making of pantry staples or fridge staples to have is garam masala. It's an amazing spice mix that is featured in lots of Indian-y flavoured and other recipes. And of course, you find all of these recipes on Coffee Do. So there's our yogurt dressing. Now, see how it's quite thick? All I do is add some of the cooking liquid back into it to make it thin enough to drizzle over the salad. So I'm actually, this has got 40 seconds to go. I'm going to assemble this, this dish now. Just got a really big bowl because it makes a lot of food. And if you can see my other spotlighted camera, please have a look at that one. So when you're taking the things off out of your aroma, always turn it away from your face so you don't get a face full of steam, and use your lid place that down on the bench so that when you lift the varona out, it's going to have no drip. So it's really neat and tidy. I know some customers just don't like messy cooking. So everything has been thought out really well, that it sits really well on there. So I'm going to put that to the side. 1 second to go. There we go. That's perfect. And my other thing that never ceases to amaze me is the way that these poor workers invented every component to be user-friendly. I just hook my spatula in, lift it out, and tip it straight into the bowl. So there's the lovely cooked rice. Okay, so have a look at that. Beautiful. It's like a saffron rice, isn't it? It's stunning. Into the rice.
I can't wait to make this. I can't wait to make this, Em.
It's surprising. And when you use ghee or butter instead of olive oil, it gives it a really creamy flavour into the rice as well. So in go the peas, cashews and sultanas. If you prefer raisins, raisins are lovely too. In go the little chicken pieces, the potatoes and the carrot. And it's like a massive bowl of salad. Let me toss that through. Look at that. You can toss it or you can keep it layered. I'm going to toss mine. So you can imagine this without the chicken as a side dish to any, well, if we could ever entertain, it'd serve an army at a dinner party or a barbecue. Now, the last bit of all was the yogurt mayo. So I'll just take a little bit of that beautiful cooking liquid and pop it into there just to make it wet enough to become a salad dressing. I'll stir that through. And that is a nice dressing on top. Oh, also the yogurt is homemade, so you can make your own yogurt. I find my favourite recipe is the creamy vanilla yogurt, using a little pot of Greek yogurt as the starter, and you'll always have success with that recipe. And that's in the TM6 in the fermentation mode. You can also do it in others. So there you go, that is done. Beautiful vegetable rice with chicken biryani dish. Oh, taste. Okay,
Yes, please.
That would smell amazing. You need to taste it for us, Em.
Yeah, it's got the perfect amount of salt. It's got that very slight Indian flavour. It's not spicy at all. And then, of course, there's all of those nice little chunks. So each mouthful has a different highlight and the colours of the rainbow. So it's perfectly healthy.
Oh, Em, that's so yummy.
I was surprised when I first tasted this, and that's why thank you, Kirsten, for introducing me to it. It is amazing. And also a big thanks to Heather for really being so savvy and fast at putting all of the links into the chat. So if you did want to click on the link to get anything from the next shop or research something, you can go back through the chat. But thank you, Heather.
Yeah,
we work well as a team.
Oh,
Yeah, my pleasure.
now I can see Jo's got hers looking to be almost ready.
Yes. So I have finished that step, and the next one is to give that a bit of a stir through. So I'm going to, you can see that in there, my eggplant is still in nice big pieces, so it hasn't chopped it up, it's just cooked everything else. Now I'm actually going to stir it through a little bit. It's going to be layered with eggplant. And then we're also going to stir in some mint. So this is just some fresh chopped mint. It's going to give that a little stir through as well. Now this is obviously with beef mince. Mint pairs fantastically with lamb. And if you don't like mint and beef, you could always use a different herb there. Now we're going to put in about 75 grams of feta cheese crumbled. So I'm just going to be tip that in, 75 grams. And then we're going to place the lid back on. Now this isn't really imperative. What we can do is just place the lid back on for a second and let the heat melt that feta cheese. So I might finish it. I'll finish it here, but if we do get a second at the end and you want to jump back here, you can. But I'll finish it off because now we're running out of time. Once this is done, you're just serving this up in a bowl, and it suggests that you serve it with grilled pita breads. and the rest of the feta cheese. Now, I can't have pita bread because I'm gluten-free. So I've actually made some gluten-free. This is actually a pizza base. So it has come out sort of nice and flat like a pita bread. And I've just sprinkled some herbs and garlic and salt and pepper on the top and made it like a bit of a herb bread. You can always make this thick or thin or however you want it. But the ability to just mill down ingredients and whip yourself up something that otherwise gluten-free pizza bases or gluten-free pita breads and things like that are one, hard to get, and two, super expensive to go and get from the shop. And they're so jam-packed full of additives and preservatives and all these extra ingredients. This was just made with what I had in my pantry. It was white rice, brown rice, dried chickpeas, millet, and if you didn't have millet, I think you could use buckwheat or something like that. I ended up with fudging the ingredients enough to make it up, and some mixed seeds and chia seeds, all stuff that I've all got in my pantry already. I didn't have to go and get anything. And there was a couple of things I was a bit short on, I didn't have. I just swapped them for something else. And then you just mix it all together and put them in the oven. So this one here is from Quirky Cooking. If you want to go and find it, it's not on Cookie Do, but Jo Whitten is Quirky Cooking, and she does have some recipes on Cookie Do, and it is a full Thermomix. It is a full Thermomix recipe. It just isn't one that you can do guided cooking via. But if you are looking for a gluten-free option, it is a really, really good one there as well. Oh, beautiful. Heather's even just popped that straight into that chat. You are all over it. Awesome.
It's a great recipe. It's awesome.
Just so fast, Heather. I was like, oh, I can't go find it. All right. How about you? How are you going, Nat?
Just a minute to go. I was just going to say we're like the team of tweaks. Like I love all our tips that we have, that we share, using what we have, because that's what it's about in the end. The guided cooking keeps us on track. But you don't have to swap, but we're just giving you ideas that
Absolutely. If anyone's thinking about being a consultant, it's a really good time because you can do it all from home. And
yeah, it's the best.
You get beautiful things in the mail today that surprise you. Like I got this lovely card from Hannah today. Thank you, Hannah. I haven't thanked you
Me
yet.
too.
Oh my goodness, how lovely. We really are a team. We work with each other to make a difference with our friends in their Thermomixing. So yeah, let someone know if you want to know a little bit more about what's involved.
Definitely. So much flexibility, isn't it? Like we're just doing this from home, cooking some dinner and jumping on, having fun. That's the best bit. We just have fun.
Yeah. Learning from each other.
Yeah. All right, we're done.
And it's great. There's quite a few consultants on tonight as well. They're here supporting their customers, learning themselves, having fun with us too. So I'm loving seeing all the different consultants and customers on tonight.
I think we always get half consultants and half customers because we all love learning from each other.
That's it. All right, so I did add an extra 4 minutes on, so I'm just going to check the pasta. Beautiful. I'm going to show you. I don't know if you guys can see. I'm going to get a spoon so I can lift some out and show you guys. It's so delicious, thick, and half your sauce, as we said, is veggies. Because you chop the veggies up, look at that. Beautiful. It's got the pumpkin, the capsicum in there. So it's all whole. You see that the pasta is not chopped up at all. It's a beautiful thick sauce, and it's made about 2 litres of dinner, like 2 kilos, which is a fair bit. So we'll have this will make us 2 dinners, easy. So that is our dish. Might need a little bit. I'll taste it for you again, just in case.
Up your sticky tape.
I am
So good.
I'm gonna spotlight all 3 of you. Oh no, can I? Hang on, let me just see if I can add spotlight. Yes, it's working again. And you, Nat, and I'd love all 3 of you to hold up your dishes, please.
Take a screenshot.
And I'm going to take a photo, so you've got to stay there. Hang on, I'm going to snip things.
Yep.
Give me a sec. 1, 2, cheese. Oh, wait, I need to do that again. Hang on.
Let me reposition my spoon. Hang on.
All right, hang on. Okay, last one. All right, I either got it then or I didn't, but we're going. That'll do. So look at that. 3 dishes, just under an hour now. It's 8:25. So we've got our beautiful moussaka is all finished there. So is that feta just melted a little bit there, Joe? Yep. Oh, you're muted still. You're on mute.
Sorry.
Joe, you're muted.
I'm back. You can't really tell through Zoom very much through that camera, but it is definitely, it's obviously not going to melt completely down without, heating it up any further. But on the bottom part of that feta is just melting down and sort of covering the whole top of the dish. And then there's still some nice big chunky bits over the top. So absolutely perfect and ready to serve.
Hannah, I've got a real live tester here.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Go. Tell me what you think. This is Neve. She's my youngest child.
Neve has sniffed out that dinner's ready.
Yeah. Well, they already had the chow mein, but they're always up.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Neve, tell everyone, have a taste. Tell everyone what you think, because you're a kid and we're all feeding. I think a lot of us are feeding kids, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Tell it to the camera. What's it taste like? Chicken and rice. Chicken and rice. Who doesn't? But how good is the chicken and rice? Good enough that she's still eating. Excellent.
Yes. Can't talk eating. She's definitely your daughter, Em, because it's obviously all the flavour is there. She's so used to all the flavour. It's just normal food.
Rice, Mum. There was no turmeric or cumin or mustard seeds in it. She's having a giggle.
Nat, you're muted as well. I thought there was some feedback, but I think it might have, I don't know what it was.
I'm just laughing and, talking to myself, laughing away.
All right. Well, I think that's all of our tips and tricks for the night. Thank you so much, Emily, Joe, and Nat, for sharing so much of your wealth of knowledge tonight with those 3 dishes just on their own. It's been rather incredible, and I love all the different substitution. It really just goes to show if you follow the recipe that each of these ladies cooked tonight, you'll be wowed, but you can get away with a lot of substituting and still have an excellent dish at the end. And that's what it's all about. I love that Nat actually showed tasting tonight as she was eating, because I like to refer to the basic cookbook as basic. It's the base of all your recipes, and if you want more flavour, go ahead and add it. You do not have to stick to 1 clove of garlic or 0 garlic in the recipe you're doing. I always put garlic in the creamy tomato salami.
I think I doubled it tonight. Yeah, I doubled it tonight, Hannah.
So just make things your own. Obviously, the first time you might want to follow the recipe and things like that. But as you go along, get some confidence and come along to more of these and learn some different things you can do. Thank you so much, Heather, for being the chat extraordinaire with all that sharing on the fly when people said something. She had it in the chat within a second. That was incredible. Thank you so much. And
thanks, everyone.
We have lots of other things coming up over the coming weeks. So if you are looking for that, please reach out to your consultant. They can share our next events with you soon.
Thanks for coming.
Happy cooking.
Bye.
Happy mixing. Bye.
Bye.